Hello. Oh, good, Grace, you got it. Good. Is it the one that I sent you in an email, or did you find another one? Gotcha.
An email.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay. I had to go put socks on. It's chilly in my house. Okie dokie. How's everybody doing? Good morning. Nice little small group. Great to see you all. Is it nice to get up early and get started on your stuff? I hope none of you feel like this is like torture. I'm hoping that maybe you were up anyway and you were like, yeah, might as well do some notes. Sort of, maybe not. Well, I mean, bonus, it's a chill day in the land of Zoom for those of you that had to see me 3 times yesterday. So thanks for hanging in with all that yesterday. I know that was kind of a lot. I felt a little crazy myself. So thanks for hanging in there. Let's just jump right in, shall we? Okay. So I probably should have gone just one step further yesterday because I kept looking back at my notes and trying to figure out when the next big section started, and we missed just a little piece of it, which is not a big deal, but this definitely folds into what we were talking about yesterday as far as courtship and mating rituals. So if we're just reminding ourselves about courtship, then from that, we can branch off into 3 categories of mating systems. Sorry, thumbs up, you can see my whiteboard? Okay, cool, great. All right, so we have promiscuous, monogamous, and polygamous. So a promiscuous species is one that creates no bonds during mating or parenting. And they have multiple mating opportunities. Monogamous species have a single bond. So typically 1 male and 1 female, and joint parental duties. And polygamous species have multiple bonds. So that means either many males and 1 female, or the opposite, which would be any females, and just one male. And they do co-parenting. So let's just think of some species that we think can fall into this category here, or one of these categories. Can anyone think of a species that might be considered in the promiscuous mating system?
Dog? Easy.
Yeah, I'd say wild dogs might fall into this category, although they also could fall into the polygamous category if we're talking about like packs of wolves or packs of dogs. Okay.
Bugs.
Yeah, definitely insects, right? All right. How about monogamous?
Humans?
We would really like to think that, wouldn't we? Yeah, in theory, as a global society, I would say that we're pretty monogamous. Study is still out on whether or not that's the way it feels natural, if that makes sense. Yet this is what, as a society, as an advanced society, we would like to put ourselves in this category. However, whether or not scientifically and inherently that is what humans are supposed to be, that the verdict is still out. Okay, but we'll put ourselves there. Humans, other species.
Penguins.
Penguins, yeah, that's the one I was thinking of for sure. Especially the emperor penguins. Great. And polygamous? Harder one to think of, right?
Maybe lions.
Yeah, this is really kind of where most mammals hang out, is in the polygamous mating system. Right, and then in all of these, the question of paternity may play a factor in, where different species lie. What does paternity mean? Paternity, anyone?
Is that when
like fathers? Oh.
Yeah. I heard a couple of you talking about, who the father is. Who's the daddy? And that's because, especially when you're speaking amongst promiscuous or polygamous mating systems, because one female may have many mates at the same time, and fertilization takes place inside of the female, especially when it comes to mammals. then it's the whose is it comes into question. Not so much with monogamous, although it still could be questioned since a lot of times, again, the fertilization takes place inside the female. Exception to that confusion of paternity or question of paternity can arise with fish who fertilize eggs outside of the female.
This is like kind of a weird question, but how do they even, like, how can they know?
They can't. That's the thing. And that's why, like, a lot of times species will then, lean towards that monogamous relationship because then they have a better feeling for it. Or they'll turn into, being very territorial and aggressive towards their mate. Okay, I just mated with this female. I want to make sure that whatever, offspring she has are mine. So I'm going to guard her until she has the offspring and make sure that no one else comes near. Okay. So the answer is for animals, they won't know. They have no idea of knowing. Unless, of course, you're a seahorse or a fish. So most fish, the eggs are fertilized outside of the female. So the female lays eggs, they are not fertilized. Then a male fish will come along, fertilize the eggs, and then to Franklin's point, they will, guard those eggs diligently in order to make sure that no other fish is coming around trying to fertilize them, that those offspring are then theirs for sure. So that's their only way of really assuring themselves that their paternity is theirs. And some to the extreme of, holding the eggs in their mouth or holding the eggs in a little fish pocket that they have. Or in the case of the seahorse, the eggs are actually fertilized inside of the seahorse's belly, the male seahorse's belly, once the eggs are put into the belly. And the male is the one that goes through gestation and then lays and pushes out the offspring. Should we try to draw a seahorse? This could be really bad, but let's do it. Oh my goodness. Uh-oh. Do they have like a fin on the back too? Oh gosh, I don't know. Do they have arms? No. Well, that's what we get. I always end up touching the button and I can't see it anymore. Okay. All right, so this isn't really going order very well. I feel like this next section kind of just got thrown in out of nowhere in the book and it doesn't, I feel like it should have been at the very last section, but it is worth talking about. So we'll throw it in right now. So just the discussion of disruptions in behavior. I guess because mostly the disruptions that have been studied have been disruptions to mating or the ability to mate. So maybe that's why it came right now. But in general, there are many ways that behavior can be disrupted outside of the control of the species themselves. And one of the main focuses is endocrine disruptors. So those are chemicals in the environment that have an effect on the animal's hormones. And because this is kind of a new science to study, there's not a whole lot of research that's been done outside of the aquatic effects or the effects on aquatic life, because that's kind of where we first noticed the pollution that humans were causing on the rest of the planet. So chemicals from factories would leak into water systems and affect aquatic life in the sense that those chemicals in the water then changed, the hormonal effects of some fish, and that way, their mating systems were affected as well, because male fish were not getting, maybe the scent of the female fish that they were supposed to, or the hormones were not released in a way that made them more male. Instead, they were making them more female. So kind of a sad situation, but yeah, that what we're doing in the environment can then affect the behavior of other animals. And so, of course, that led to studying the effects of air pollution as well. And then finally we realized, oh, shoot, maybe what we're doing is affecting us too. So, of course, there's new studies going on determining whether or not environmental pollution or environmental change can affect our own human behavior. Give you another maybe 20 seconds on this page, and then I gotta go to a new slide. Right, so the next big section, and actually the last section that we're going to take these types of notes on, is social behavior and sociobiology. And sociobiology is just the study of social behavior. That's supposed to be California. Because in terms of sociobiology, one of the things they focus on is the idea of territories. And a species' territories can be about the size of their pack or their herd or their colony. Territory can be about resources available. And a territory can be used for feeding and mating and raising young. If you think about the borders of a territory, an animal protects their borders, obviously to maintain all these things that it's concerned about: resources, feeding, mating, raising young. And then in order to protect that territory, it may have a very specific call that it does to warn another species or a member of a different territory but the same species that, hey, you're in my territory, get out of here. Wow, that doesn't really look like a call because the teeth are closed.
Now that doesn't even look like anything. I don't know what a mouse looks like. All right, well, that's what we got. Or they can put out an odor. How come I don't know how to draw a nose, you guys? This is crazy. And not just in terms of protecting borders, but in general, when a species has, a call or an odor or something that they do, an action, a behavior that protects their territory or their group, their offspring, their mate, whatever it may be, these are all called agnostic behaviors. So they can be exhibited in terms of like a threat to another animal, a really loud roar, a really stinky odor, so standing up tall, doing a crazy dance, rituals that are usually agreed upon between species in terms of, oh, we're going to do this battle, of the tap dances, and whoever does it better, then you got to leave this territory. And then there's just straight up combat, where you step on my territory, I'm going to try to kill you. But when it comes to combat, most species are relatively aware that if we do a combat situation here, one of us is going to die. And not for nothing, if I'm a snake or a spider or a porcupine or something with something deadly, some deadly aspect to me, I could die too. And then that's no good for either one of us. If we both die, then no one gets the territory. So when it comes down to combat, that's like last resort. Instead, they'll do rituals. And I still didn't spell it right, did I? You guys can tell me. You can be like, Miss Masonette, you're the worst speller ever. When it comes to combat versus rituals, most species will pick a ritual first. Like in the book, they gave the example of arm wrestling. Because for sure no one's going to die from arm wrestling, but a winner can clearly be determined by strength, or maybe a battle of the wits. So in general, species will not pick combat unless it's absolutely necessary. Okay, if we go back to the idea of territories, within a territory or in a clan or a pack of an animal species, what can often happen is the development of dominance hierarchy. Which basically just determines who's in charge of that particular group or that particular territory. So it's a ranking based on social interaction. Can anyone think of an example of a species that might have this?
Wolf packs.
Yeah, definitely. To draw a wolf. Oh boy. No, no, no. Oh boy. Kind of looks cross-eyed. There we go. Any other ones?
Ants?
Yeah, I was just thinking that ants and bees for sure. That's supposed to be the queen bee because she's wearing a crown. And ants have their hierarchy of workers versus gatherers. Cool. All right. Any other thoughts or questions about chapter 35? Because we're going to move on to chapter, we're going to move on to chapter 25, and by on I mean backwards, but probably not until tomorrow because I just want to give everyone that heads up. But happy to answer any questions or clarify anything. And if you're like, we didn't quite finish this section or this chapter, that's because I'm gonna pull a bunch of stuff out as far as what we might be asked about on this little objective 8. Just because we can really just kind of wrap this up so that we can get to the AP sooner rather than later. And we did a good job the last couple of parts, really get into human behavior and human interaction with animal species, and it's really intuitive. So that's why we're going to skip it. So yeah, what do you have? Some questions.
Are there any assignments for today besides the cola or the Patrice Padlet?
No, great question. I don't know who was that Grace? Oh, great, cool, yeah. No, the rest of this week is pretty breezy. So the last thing was the Patrice Padlet, which, let's see, can I show you it?
Is the biointeractive due today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Biointeractive is due tomorrow. But pretty much everything is due tomorrow night by midnight. So the only things we had this week that would be submittable, meaning like that you would turn it in, are the biointeractive worksheet, Khan Academy assignments, and this Patrice Padlet. That's it, which is kind of a nice mellow week, hopefully. I will say that, sorry?
Last week you mentioned wanting us to take pictures and turn in our notes. Do you still want us to do that?
I do, but I'm not going to collect them until we're done with all of Objective 8. So it'll be next Friday. So there'll be a Dropbox at the, it'll probably pop up middle of next week after we're done with all our notes for this. And then, yeah, I'll collect all the notes at the very end, right before spring break. So yeah, pretty mellow week. This is the last assignment. It could take you, a day and a half to get Patrice's food web as beautiful as you'd like it. I'd love for you to spend a little time on it. Obviously, the thought process behind all of these species probably, is pretty intuitive. You guys will be fine with that. But, just making it lovely, and then doing the trophic pyramid. And then you'll just, once you get that done in either Notability or a piece of paper or whatever app you want to use to do it, then you'll take a picture of that and then upload the picture to Patrice's Food Web Padlet. Great question. What else, guys?
When does the Padlet due?
Great question. Midnight tomorrow as well. Actually, you know what, Diego? That's a great question, because last week's Padlet, there was no due date, so to speak. It was just once I had to start this one. So you bring up a good point. Yeah, no, I'm going to say take as much time as you need. With the, with the knowledge that next week there'll be one more Patrice Padlet that'll pop up on Wednesday again. So because of that, basically you have from now until next Tuesday to get it done, I guess. Yeah, so no stress. Take the weekend, take Monday, Tuesday, whatever.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you got it. What else, guys? Anything? Feeling okay?
Are you going to do review lectures for the old units prior to the AP?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. So as soon as I get those sample questions from College Board, which they said come out on April 3rd, which is next Friday, then I can start to compile a lovely little study guide for us and go back and review what I feel like they're going to focus on. Like I said, like I mentioned yesterday, I feel like they're definitely going to pick these big, broad questions that will pull in many concepts into one answer. So in that sense, it might be a little bit hard to, streamline what we study, but I think we'll be okay. I think it's going to be more about, can we quickly and concisely get the ideas down that they're asking for in 45 minutes, Diego, you look like you're going to go back to sleep. Good night. All right, you guys. So we do have one more breakfast at Tiffany's this week, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We'll get started on chapter 25 notes, and we'll go from there. We'll try to keep it light, though, since it is a Friday. And then you get the weekend. Yay, you don't have to get up early anymore. Cool. All right, you guys. Have a great day. Thanks for coming.
You too, thanks.
Bye.